YouTube. What it do is your boy Benji. We back balling. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. The Summer League has put a lot of players in front of us. And a lot of second year guys have gotten a chance to see what it's like removed of their rookie season. And we've seen a couple guys too that are just trying to look for an opportunity. A lot of the conversation, of course, has been surrounding Cooper Flagg and his performances, but of course, there's other guys. Let's think about last year's draft. Plenty of discourse surrounding the guys in the lottery who conveniently were able to avoid a bunch of criticism. Yet, Bronny was the topic of conversation, or at least of many conversations. The guy that was picked number 55. Yeah. The Nepo baby that was able to outperform plenty of lotto picks. We're going to have a conversation about it. Let's check it out.
So I've been watching the Summer League. Rob is nowhere near where Bronny is. It's not even close, and if you really watch the games, you'll see what I'm talking about. First, we're Hoop Doctors. We have a ton of different basketball services. Check them out if you want to get better. And this isn't a better or who has the cutest moves type of situation. When you watch them play and you watch who impacts the game more and who is better at their role, it's clearly Bronny.
And that's been evident because of the positions that he's been awarded. He showed up on a team that was a playoff squad and was able to provide a couple of minutes here and there, and at the very least was able to hoop in the G League. We all know Rob is very talented with the ball in his hands, but if you had to look at production and fit, Bronny is able to acquiesce to multiple teams. He's willing to go pick up full court, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands. Bronny's biggest problem, which is something I've continued to state, is his confidence. His willingness to make moves, take shots, and make plays happen. He can do it, but it's something about when those bright lights come on and he's a focal point, even though he's not a focal point in the Lakers, he just does not turn it on. He's nervous. Rob, you kind of got to let him get the ball and just let him play. Unfortunately, I think Rob's probably been a player who's been used to being the best player on his squad for years and years and years. Even though if you look at some of the older videos on Hoops HQ, Rob has been a big-time player in the midst of big-time players, specifically when he got to high school in his early years. He wasn't the most known player on his squads, but he was able to perform without the ball in his hands. And I think that was one of the things that really opened my eyes to how talented the Rob kid was, because he was able to play with multiple guys and pick his spots, get his shots as a youngster.
Now, the things that Bronny does consistently isn't really scoring. You know, he has good games, he has good moments, and he can shoot the three. I think that type of stuff will translate. For Rob, on the other hand, he has to be enormously great at what he does on the offensive end, because he won't be much defensively. He's not really going to rebound, and his playmaking has not been very good, even in the Summer League. He's really struggled with that, even this last game.
Oh, no.
He's had as many turnovers as assists. While Bronny is defending at a pretty good level, even showed that in the G, and is an intangible guy. He plays hard, he defends, he's 215, he can guard a couple different positions, and he makes the right plays. Overall, Bronny does have the edge because of the role difference. This is why you get good at many things and be able to play multiple roles so you can last and fit better.
So I would make the argument that there is some truth into finding a role. At the end of the day, we really had to look at Rob's career again. Early in high school, he was a highly touted freshman playing amongst juniors and seniors on a loaded squad. He was able to transition into a position where he was the man his next couple seasons in high school. Then he was able to line up with overtime and played amongst really good players. He went to Kentucky, played against a bunch of really good players. He actually came off the bench and was one of the leading scorers on the squad. So I don't think that his roles have been anything that we've seen to be reduced. Performance-wise, I don't think that Bronny has performed, even though he's always been a guy that played among great players. I think he's never really been required to perform at a high level. And even if you look at where he's at in the NBA right now. It's not like the Lakers need him to go hoop. They got Luka, they got LeBron. Just come in, provide us a couple valuable minutes. And so if I really had to make the argument, Rob's ready to come in and hoop. Yes, you can argue Rob's play style is a little different, where he kind of sometimes needs to pat the ball a little bit and whatnot, but he can make things happen. He's somebody who's electric. He can come off the bench and ignite your team, because he can go for 15 points real quick. He's not quite the playmaker, but I would argue that Bronny's not quite the playmaker. Rob, when you get him in transition, you get him attacking the basket, he can make things happen. So obviously, in totality, I had to argue that Rob is a better player. Rob is exciting to watch, but if you had to look at the production between the two of them, even if you were talking about summer league, it's pretty similar. I mean, if we had to talk Rob's stats over his rookie season, that is a lottery pick who played about 11 minutes a game, over 49 games, and averaged 4.5 points, 5 points, a rebound, 2 assists. For the field, percentages weren't crazy. Most guys in limited minutes and in a position where they're a guard, they're not going to be too crazy. And if you look at your number 55th pick, he played 27 games, averaged 2 points, didn't have the greatest field goal percentages, almost a rebound, and almost an assist. So essentially, very similar stats. Bronny played half the amount of time. Again, to whom much is given, much is expected. Bronny's your 55th pick on a playoff team. Rob is a lotto pick on a playoff team. At the end of the day, you don't want to pit these guys against one another, but it just goes to show kind of where there's so many things that you cannot control as a basketball player. And it really isn't about where you start, it's about how you finish. I'm one of the guys that roots for Rob, and I think he should get some more burn. He's ready to play. But if you look over the course of the summer league, these guys are undefeated. They've been hooping. They've been making it happen. Terrence Shannon has been absolutely incredible. He's someone who, after a solid summer league, wasn't awarded many minutes in the NBA, and neither was Rob. Again, we don't know what's going on in these practices. And at the end of the day, again, it's very hard to crack rotation in a team that's in the playoffs. But in about 30 minutes a game, Rob has been averaging about 17.3. He had a couple recent games where he's exploded offensively. But again, this is where we start to see some of the discrepancies and some of the issues. He's shooting about 39% from the field and 33% from three. I don't necessarily like to take summer league stats too seriously, because there's a lot of guys just jacking and getting shots up and taking shots that they won't necessarily take in an NBA system. But it's about seeing who's confident, ready to play, and how this transition into the regular season. He's got about 4 boards a game and 7 assists. He's turning the ball over about 4 times a game. But let's not forget, the Timberwolves are undefeated. Bronny's been doing his thing. He's playing about 24 minutes a game and getting you 14 points per. He's shooting 48% from the field and 30% from three. So, of course, one of our differences we're going to look at is the field goal percentage. Bronny's not going to have the green in the NBA. Neither will Rob. So it's about the type of shots that you're getting and the quality that you're creating. Bronny's averaging about 4 assists. And you see about a steal a game. He turned the ball over 4 times a game as well. That's one thing that, again, I think Bronny does irritate me with. He's very, very, very lackadaisical. And that's just his play style. I even noticed the way he trains. He's just kind of like whatever with it. Which, no, I think you have to be a lot more concise, a lot more precise. Where you're gonna have limited minutes. It's gonna be tough for you to, as a lead guard, of getting plenty of burn when you're turning the ball over that heavily. And the same has to do with Rob. Rob's gonna be able to get you a bunch of excitement, a bunch of ooh-ahs. But both of these young guys got to be able to understand the efficiency that they're going to be required to put up in order to, get big time minutes. And that's what a lot of young guys got to understand coming into the league after being in a position where you're able to do whatever you want to do. Coming into a position where you got other guys to feed. And I think Jeff Teague, he told a great story about this, about how good he thought he was, about how solid his play was leading up to his early seasons. And then he realized, after having a conversation with Joe Johnson and some of the other big-time players on the team, it wasn't about how well he performed offensively. We're talking about points per game. It was about how he got the stars involved. So when you're able to lead like that from a point guard position, he made everybody around him happy, and that was able to get him minutes on the floor.
It will forever drive me nuts that so many people insist Bronny James does not deserve to be in the NBA and that he's only made it this far because of nepotism. He might have been drafted by the Lakers specifically because of nepotism, but come on, guys. He was the 55th overall pick. You'd think he was a top 10 pick with the expectations people have for him, but the reality is that he's returning value for a second rounder.
At this point, as a number 55 pick, Bronny James has outperformed the stats. What he was required to do, W.
He has been balling out in this summer league. The last 2 games, he's dropped at least 17 points on over 50% shooting with 5 assists in both. Meanwhile, his teammate, Dalton Connect, who actually was a top 20 pick in the same draft class, is stinking it up. Yet over the past year, he's been perceived as this great young asset.
Gilbert Arenas made a good point about the age of Connect. Not a knock on Connect particularly, but unfortunately, sports is a young man's game, and you have a short window to perform at your highest ability. You got to take advantage of it. Again, summer league is one of those situations where I don't think we should be too up or down on somebody like Connect, because again, his situation in the pros isn't necessarily going to align with what he's getting in summer league. Summer league, he can do whatever he wants to do. In the pros, get on the line. That's what you're doing.
For the Lakers, it's time to call it how it is. Just because Bronny gets more coverage than he should doesn't mean he doesn't belong in the league, because he's proved that he does. In his rookie year, he averaged over 20 points per game in the G League. That's not something everyone does. He's active and impactful defensively, even against Cooper Flag.
He's no bum.
Not everyone does.
There's plenty of guys who went to top colleges who were heralded and did nothing in the G League. It's not easy. Again, it's all about opportunity, but then when you get the opportunity, it's about what you do with it.
He knows how to play off ball, has good feel manipulating defenders off the catch and dishing out assists. He's selfless. Not everyone does that. I think Bronny is going to be a rotational guy eventually, as long as he becomes a more consistent spot.
And that's exactly what it is. When he's able to defend smart without fouling, and he's able to consistently knock down jump shots, I think that's what will help him. I think the biggest thing too is, at least for me, is watching him play with confidence. You see him play, and sometimes when he's hooping, you're like, oh my goodness. But then he makes some bonehead plays, which again are indicative possibly of his age. They're indicative about, the opportunity that he's received up until this point in terms of game time minutes. You gotta be like, what are you doing?
Up shooter. And I think that development is very plausible. He's got good mechanics. He's got good offensive feel. He's just getting more and more confident with more reps ever since the cardiac arrest. And that medical situation is the only reason he fell in the draft in the first place. Every scout was in agreement that he was a dang good player out of high school. I just hope the haters will start to give him some credit, because there are some very popular players in the summer league that are not performing as well as him.
I was a little disingenuous. The cardiac arrest is not what made him drop. Now, could that have been something that was in the back of the mind of plenty of scouts and GMs? Sure. But let's not forget that the Lakers and Le GM did say that Bronny's not going anywhere except for the Lakers. And so I'm sure plenty of teams also, if they would even consider it, they had to look at his performance. But again, I always mention even his summer league and pre-draft combine numbers were good. So it's interesting to see at least where these guys may head in the season, and I'm rooting for them both. But I thought it was an interesting comparison, Rob Dillingham versus Bronny. Let me know what y'all think.